Good morning. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick, and I'm upset. I've had to pause Garth Brooks on the Chris Stapleton Pandora radio channel, which my father discovered and is just a channel that slaps. Would highly recommend it. I'm not sponsored by Pandora, but Chris Stapleton radio slaps. Slaps the living bejesus out of everything. But I'm upset. For I was listening to Garth Brooks' song Thunder Rolls and having myself just a grand morning getting ready for work. And then I saw a video of a young Gen Zer having a debate with a Gen Xer, saying how foolish it was that the Gen Xer, or that Gen X in general, dared to call Gen Z stupid, when Gen Z has literally all information ever at their fingertips, and Gen X licked lead paint off of brushes and used snow as asbestos in The Wizard of Oz. First of all, it wasn't just in The Wizard of Oz, it was also in It's a Wonderful Life. It was actually a useful material until you breathed it in. Now, first things first. Chitlins, sit down. The show's only 10 minutes. I only need 10 minutes of your attention. It's not even as long as an episode of Bluey, which is what I assume all of you watch from the age of 5 to the age of 20. Gen Xers, you can sit in as well. I'll make fun of you two later on, but you have much longer attention spans, so we'll get to you at the end. Chitlins, I fear you must be educated on the meaning of intelligence. A quote from the great Qui-Gon Jinn, Jedi Master and true star of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Let that sink in for a moment. The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now, my young Gen Zers, you do have all the information in the world at your fingertips. Who put it there? Have some respect. It was the Gen Xers who put it there. Gen Zers, you were born into a world where the information was waiting for you. You may know how to use the technology certainly better, but the technology was put in front of you by your elders. Have some respect for them for that. They delivered the information to you. They, in fact, largely discovered the information that you so fervently look up on your devices of many and all varieties. But let's get back to our quote. The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Broadly speaking, what does that mean? Just because you can utter words does not mean your words have any value. In the same way, just because you can regurgitate information, it does not mean the information has any value. Intelligence, my young friends, is not the ability to have information. We all have information. I have a device. I'm recording this on a computer. You have 700 different devices and 900 different forms of communication. You send each other all sorts of pictures in the snap of a finger. You have information. You have access to information. You have the ability to send information. You have the ability to fact check. However, intelligence is not facts. Facts are trivia. It might win you a game of Jeopardy, but it's not intelligence. Intelligence is the deployment of facts to make constructive thoughts. For example, I have a pen. I have one pen. What does that tell me? Well, not much, because I haven't analyzed the pen. I have no idea what the pen has in store for me. It appears the pen has no ink. We'll have to try it. Intelligence is investigation of facts and understanding how to coalesce those facts into useful packets of information, which you can then use to analyze the world around you. For example, 2 + 2 = 4. That's a fact. But it's not a particularly useful fact without any sort of context. Why do I need to know 2 + 2 = 4? Well, if I have 2 apples and I want to get to 4 apples, I need to add 2 apples. Okay. So if I'm in the grocery store, I need to pick up 4 apples. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the deployment of a fact to critically analyze the world around you and get to a result. In its most basic form. We are talking very base level intelligence at that. Let's get into more high concept ideas. Political. Let's get to political stuff. Okay. Generation Z. The reason you are often called stupid when it comes to politics is because you react emotionally to many things, despite the fact that you have all this information. Having all the information in the world has in fact proven to be a detriment to human intelligence. Why? Because it's opened the door to all these wacky conspiracy theories. Now, granted, a conspiracy theory is only a conspiracy theory until it's proven true. But information is not always accurate information. And sometimes a plethora of information muddies the waters. For example, there's a dude out there, a gentleman by the name of something or other, who just spits random nonsense, whatever sort of comes off the top of his head. For example, he was talking about the emerald tablets of such and such the other day. That is information. It exists. You could type it in and find it, and you can look it up. But any bare amount of intelligence would tell you that such a magical, earth-shattering thing must have been examined. So intelligence would tell you, I better dig into that more. Not dig into the theories that the emerald tablets espouse. I should actually check the validity of the emerald tablets first. True intelligence is receiving a new fact and going, I must examine the validity of this before I simply spew it out of my mouth. For example, in the video I referenced earlier of the young Gen Zer, and the reason I'm making fun of you today, Gen Z, the thought that Gen X was licking lead paint off of paintbrushes is a bit silly. The lead paint was already used. It was dry. The problem with children ingesting lead paint came from lead paint chips flaking off the walls of their houses as the houses naturally aged. Asbestos. The problem with asbestos was that as holes began to get punched in asbestos insulation, it entered the lungs and it became airborne. You would investigate it and you would see non-friable and friable, and you'd learn all these fun little things about asbestos. And you'd also actually learn that asbestos was an excellent insulating tool and had many, many uses before discovering friable and non-friable asbestos and mesothelioma and those sorts of things. You would also discover the shooting dates of The Wizard of Oz. And you'd be disappointed to find out that it was not, I don't even think it might have been like the early boomers who shot The Wizard of Oz. Like, we may be reaching way, 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 way back. These may not be the people calling you stupid. You may be going like way too far back to make fun of a group of people who didn't cause that problem. Again, this is why we check facts before we spew them. This is wisdom. Wisdom is understanding that despite the fact that we have all this information, we may not know everything. Wisdom is knowing what you don't know, or understanding that you cannot know everything, and therefore it is important to have your base of facts that are strong. However, children, I've made fun of you enough. You may go now and watch Bluey, which is what I assume you do. Gen X, look, the kids. Gen Z is still kids, and they do have, at this point, a stunted growth into adulthood because of many things that have recently happened. The COVID pandemic, regardless of your belief on whether or not COVID was man-made, whether the vaccines are good, whatever, regardless of any of that, Gen Z and Gen Alpha are the ones who have been affected by it because we took them out of school for 2 years and we stopped teaching them, or we stopped teaching them as effectively. And that's not an argument against homeschooling, because none of that was actually homeschooling. It was an attempt at satellite learning, and it was bad. It was just bad. It was bad. No good. But Gen X, you can't make fun of kids, right? Let the kids be. They have their Tic Tacs and their Insta whatevers, and you can be on those platforms too. And, if somebody makes fun of you, let it roll off your back, right? The children need to learn, and the children must be taught, and to be taught sometimes includes making fun of them, as I have just done for the last 8.5 minutes. But Gen X, you're the adults in the room. Let's have some grace. Millennials, I'm a millennial. Millennials and Gen X, we're the adults in the room. Have some grace for the children. They're learning. Intelligence must be earned. It cannot be bought, and it cannot be searched. Intelligence must be earned, and the only way you earn intelligence is by making mistakes. And we're all still learning. We're all still growing. We're all still becoming better people day by day by day by day by day. And through the grace of God, somehow we will all get there. I have no idea how we'll get there, but somehow we'll get there. You do me a favor. You have yourselves a great day. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.